Have you been thinking about going gray for a while, but you're not sure if it's the right choice for you? Well, today I'm going to list all the pros and cons to going gray so you can make an informed decision. Hi, my name is Katie Emery. I am the founder of KatieGoesPlatinum.com. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here today. So to start on a positive note, let's start with the pros. Here are my top 10 pros to going gray. Number 1 is healthier hair. I don't know about you, but I spent 25 plus years dyeing my hair, and by the time I was done, my hair felt like straw. I'll post some pictures here so you can see it, but the texture was terrible. It was dried out. It just was a mess. My hair really only looked good the day or 2 or 3 after I dyed it. So I felt like I had to color it all the time. I was coloring my hair basically every 3 weeks towards the end. But once I stopped dyeing it, I don't have to worry about any of that. My hair is shiny now. It's shiny on its own. I do not use shine products. I no longer have to buy frizz products. My hair just comes out of my freaking head shiny and not frizzy. I don't know why I had to wait till I was almost 50 to find this out, but it has been a wonderful relief. Will everyone have these results? No. It's hard to predict what your gray hair will look like or feel like when it grows out. The best way to think about it is to look back to your hair when you were a prepubescent child, so before all the hormones kicked in. And when you look back and you try to remember what your hair was like back then, your texture will probably be pretty close to that. So if your hair was coarse or frizzy when you were a prepubescent child, the chances are your gray hair also will be. Gray hair is beautiful. It takes a little while to train your mind to see gray not as a marker of old age, but as its own unique hair color. And once you do, and you realize we've been brainwashed by the advertisers all these years to see it as ugly or dowdy, and you start seeing it as what it is, silver strands of hair. It's gorgeous. I mean, have you ever seen silver hair sparkle in the sunlight or the moonlight? It's like Christmas tinsel. It's like having a Christmas tree on top of your head every day, and what's not to love about that? One of my favorite and most unexpected pros to going gray is how much fun it is. It is freaking fun. It's fun to do something that not everybody else is doing. It's fun to go against the grain of societal norms. It feels rebellious and freeing, and for some of us who spent years working in an office or doing other conventional things, even no matter how much you love doing them, sometimes you can feel like you're stuck in a rut. But when you go gray and nobody else around you is doing it, all of a sudden it's like being a rebel again, being a teenager. It's fun, it's interesting, and you feel like a weight has been taken off your shoulders. Once I no longer had to worry about chasing my roots, worrying if my roots were showing, worrying if I had to make an appointment to go to the salon before vacation or before a wedding. I don't know, it's such a great freeing feeling. I think most people would agree that is one of the top benefits to going gray. Gray hair is unique. No two heads of gray hair are alike. Everybody has their own silver pattern. In my case, my gray hair started at the top, and underneath, I'm getting a lot of my original dark, almost black hair. That's just how it grew out. People have asked me if I dye it this way or if I get it highlighted, but this is just how it grows out of my head. I have been to several events in the LA area for silver-haired women, and when you walk into a room with women who all have their natural hair, you'll be astonished at how unique everybody's hair pattern is and how shiny it is. That's the one thing that really strikes me now, is how shiny and vibrant and unique silver hair is compared to dyed hair. Once you stop dyeing your hair, you will notice how flat even the best dyed hair jobs look. Gray hair is great for your complexion. And believe me, as a very pale person, I was worried about this because if I don't have lipstick on or makeup, I fade away into nothingness. I am a ghost. I have no color in my face or my body. So I was worried if I let my hair go gray, I would just be invisible. But actually the opposite has happened. It has brightened up my complexion so much that I actually usually wear less makeup now than I did when I was dyeing my hair. Now today I have a little more makeup on just because I'm on camera and I'm wearing a red turtleneck, so I wanted some red lipstick to go with that. But actually in real life now, I usually wear more of a nude colored lipstick, lighter colored eyeshadow, just a little foundation, and I really don't look like the haggard old lady I thought I would look like when I was younger. Some people have said to me that they feel like gray hair is best for your complexion if you have a cool tone of silver hair or a cool toned complexion. I can say that that's totally not the case. I have many women who've contributed photos to my site who have olive skin, who have warm colored skin, former redheads with a gold tones in their skin. And I swear to God, Mother Nature knows what she's doing. If you look at my post called 30 Gray Hair Before and After Pics That Will Blow Your Mind, which I will link to in the show notes, and I'll try to link to up here too, you will see that almost in every case, the woman who lets her hair grow natural, her skin looks fantastic. A lot of us consider ourselves to be people who are environmentally friendly, and we care about how we're leaving the earth for our children. But we don't give a second thought to all the toxic chemicals that go down the drain every time we dye our hair, whether at the salon or at home. I interviewed Ronnie Citron Fink a couple years ago. She works for the Environmental Defense Fund's Moms Clean Air Force, and she was in the same boat. She cared about the environment, it was her job, but she found herself still dyeing her hair, and she started to question why she would do this. And she stopped, and she wrote this fabulous book called True Roots. And I highly recommend that everybody reads it. You will find out not only are these toxic chemicals dangerous for our environment, but also we're putting them on our head, which is a very vulnerable spot. Now, I haven't switched over to a 100% clean beauty routine, but I at least feel good that I am no longer putting those toxic chemicals on my head or down the drain. To me, one of the biggest benefits of going gray is saving time. All that time spent on a Saturday morning at the salon, getting your hair colored or your roots touched up when you could just be home having a nice day, a nice breakfast, spending time with your kids or your friends or your partner or by yourself. But instead, you're spending hours and hours at the salon getting your hair colored. It seems like a freaking waste of time. Now, it might not feel like that to you if you're still in the throes of it, but now that I'm done with it, I can't believe I ever went through that. It's not just the physical time that you spend going to the salon and getting your hair colored or doing it at home. It's also the time spent worrying about your roots, worrying what other people think about your roots, and worrying about looking older. Once you go gray, you can fully reclaim your time, and it is a wonderful feeling. Natural silver hair is relatively easy to maintain compared to dyed hair. You're no longer having to touch it up, to check your roots. You're no longer having to invest a ton of money in shine products or anti-frizz products. I no longer have to worry about using lots of leave-in conditioner to get my hair to be the right texture. Instead, it's a wash and go. I only wash my hair twice a week these days, and when I do, I can air dry it, which, as I said earlier, I couldn't do when I was younger. I had to blow dry it, but now I can just put a little Scene blowout cream to protect my hair from the sun. I put that in my hair, let it air dry. Really, it's grab and go. I love it, and I hope that you will have that experience too if you go gray. Going gray can save you money, whether or not you dye your hair at the salon or at home. Of course, you'll save a hell of a lot more money if you were dyeing your hair at the salon. But let's face it, money is money. Even getting the $8 box of hair dye every 2 weeks starts to add up. However, spending $140 getting your hair colored in Los Angeles every month, that's a ton of money that you no longer have to spend. Of course, some of us find out that we actually spend more money on things like getting our nails done or buying clothes to go with our gray hair, so it's a little iffy if this is truly a benefit. One very unexpected positive to going gray that I had no idea would be the case when I was still dyeing my hair was increased self-confidence. When you do something that's against the grain, that is rebellious, that not everybody's doing, and you survive doing it, it increases your self-confidence and makes you feel like you can do anything. One of the biggest benefits of going gray is it makes you stop trying to recapture who you used to be and start trying to enjoy who you are now. It pushes you into the present instead of trying to recapture your past. And that goes hand in hand with self-confidence. I think it's great, and I hope that if you go gray, that you have that experience too. Now, as promised, we're going to talk about the cons to going gray. I tend to only focus on the positive on my blog and on this channel because for me it has been an overwhelmingly positive experience, but I polled my readers recently on Facebook, as I mentioned earlier, and I got a lot of responses. I'd say 50% of the responses were from people who seemed almost offended that I even asked if there are any downsides to going gray. And even though I feel like that myself, I wanted to hear from the people who did have some downsides to mention, and so let's go through those cons now. One of the biggest downsides to going gray is unsolicited comments. I'm an extroverted person, and even I get tired of unsolicited comments from people about my gray hair. Sometimes it becomes the entire conversation for most of the evening when I'm with a bunch of women, as I posted about in my video that I'll link to below, and that gets a little old. But because I like my gray hair and because I'm self-confident about it, I can usually brush it off. But if you are feeling at all insecure about your gray hair or your decision to go gray, or if you happen to be a shy or very introverted person, just to give you a little warning, you will probably end up getting unsolicited comments about your gray hair. And if that happens, you might want to be forearmed with some comebacks. I will be doing a video about that soon, so make sure to hit like and subscribe so you can get notified when I do that video. Texture changes. Now, as mentioned in the pros side of things, I had texture changes and they were all for the good. But some people don't like the texture changes they get with their silver hair. For example, curly hair can become straighter. Straight hair can become wavier or curlier. It's really a crapshoot how your hair will be. As I said earlier, you need to look back to your prepubescent hair. That will give you kind of an idea of what your hair will be like. It doesn't mean that you can't go gray. It just means you might need to figure out some ways to handle your gray hair that are different from the way you're treating your colored hair. One con to going gray is dealing with yellowing in your silver hair. Now, not everybody will experience this. People with fine hair like mine tend to be more prone to it, and it is annoying. I have a blog post that I will link to below that tells you ways to prevent yellowing and how to cover it up. What I can just tell you off the top of my head is the number one thing that can cause yellowing for people, especially with fine gray hair, are heat tools. So you need to be cautious with blow dryers, with curling irons, and with flat irons. Especially be cautious about what products you use with them, or you can stain your hair or yellow it. My hair is still easier to deal with as it's gone gray. I like my hair now, and so that's one of the downsides I'm willing to put up with. But for some people, it ruins the experience of having gray hair, and they want to go back to coloring, which of course they should do if they're not happy with it. Color changes can be a problem for some people. In other words, what looked good on you before in terms of color with your makeup or your jewelry or your clothing might not suit you as well once you've gone gray. Now, I also have a blog post about that, which I will link below. But let me tell you just off the top of my head again that the main thing that matters with color is your undertone of your skin. So in that blog post, it gives you some hints about how to find your undertone and how to choose colors that work right for you. Can you still wear colors that aren't as flattering now with your hair color as it is now? Of course you can. Do what makes you feel good. If you like to wear beige and beige no longer looks good with your gray hair, then just wear it. It's up to you. People automatically assuming that you're older. Yes, this does happen, as you can imagine, and it is one of the cons to going gray. Think about it this way. I can't remember how long it was ago, maybe 70 or 80 years ago is when commercial hair dye was developed and popularized in the 50s and 60s. So most of us grew up with grandmothers, great aunts, and great-grandmothers, and maybe even mothers who never would dream of going out with gray hair in public. So the only people we saw going gray were people in their 90s, if then. So gray hair became associated with old age. If everybody today on Earth stopped dyeing their hair, we would see people as young as 10 or 11 or even 5 with some gray hair. I've heard from people who got their first gray hairs when they were 5. I personally started going gray when I was 15 or 16, and I was probably fully silver in my 30s, and I've been covering it up this whole time. Going gray does not mean that you're old, and it doesn't mean that you are going to look automatically old. However, people will probably add some years on to your age when they see your hair. Now, once they see your face, they might change their mind, but it can be a negative for people. It makes them worry about ageism in the workplace. and it makes them worry about dating or other things. And that's an honest fear to have, because there are people who are jerks and will treat you differently if they think you're older. Until more people are going gray, unfortunately, gray hair is still going to be associated with old age, and people are just going to assume it. If you can, just try not to be offended and try to just remember they're ignorant. If you are growing out your gray hair and you're not willing to cut it, it does take a lot of patience. I grew out my gray hair over a period of 2.5 years because I did not want to lose my length. And for me personally, it would have been traumatic to go gray overnight. In other words, if I had cut my hair short and gone gray in 3 months, that would have been super traumatic for me. For some people, that is the right way to go. But for me, that was definitely not the right way to go. I grew it out slowly over time. I enjoyed every freaking minute of it. But for some people, that sounds like hell on earth, and it does require an awful lot of patience to get through a year or 2 years or 3 years of growing out your gray hair. So if patience is not your strong suit, you might want to reconsider going gray the long way. Now, if you think going gray might be the right choice for you, I wanted to let you know I wrote a downloadable ebook called Every Which Way to Gray. It looks like this, and it has over 72 pages that will help you decide which method of going gray is right for you, for your personality, for your temperament, and for your pocketbook. It gives you lots of questions to ask yourself. It tells you about every method of going gray, the pros and the cons, so you can make an informed decision. For my YouTube readers only, I am giving a $10 off discount. I will link to it in the show notes below. What are your thoughts on going gray? What are the positives and negatives? I'd love to hear from you. Make sure to tell me in the comment section below, and don't forget to give me a like and a subscribe so you can get notified every time I post a new video. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you again soon.